So one of the key components, or one of the main components in the membrane, is what's called a fatty acid. And so there are a number of these fatty acids which vary by their carbon length chain. So first let's look at the structure, the general structure of a fatty acid. So as the name implies, there's an acid group, and so that's shown here as a COOH group. So here's your acid head group. And then there's a long hydrophobic tail, which can vary in length. So this is a nonpolar tail. And note that there's a lot of CH2 groups, and this ends in a methyl group. So this is very nonpolar, very hydrophobic. So we have this polar head group, so at pH 7.3, of course this could be deprotonated, so COO minus. So this will interact very nicely with water, but then there's this nonpolar group. So these tend to aggregate, for instance, into micelles, or such as what we learned about early on in the semester when we talked about formation of micelles and formation of amphipathic molecules or amphiphilic molecules, right? So this particular one has 18 carbons. So we number the carbon from the fatty acid group. So 1, and then this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so this has 16 carbons with the acid head group. What's important about this is that, well, first let's name this. So this is palmitic acid, so that's a common name for it. We can also name this as, by what's called a lipid number. And so the lipid number is the number of carbons, so in this case 16, there's a colon, and then we try to see how many unsaturations there are. Now recall what an unsaturation is. For instance, if we have ethane, there are no double or triple bonds. There's only a single bond between this. So we call this saturated, because the carbons are saturated with hydrogen. So each of them has, in this case, has 3. The N carbons have 3. And so this is a saturated molecule, whereas if we had ethene, there's a double bond, and this would be called unsaturated. So basically we count the number of double bonds there are within a fatty acid tail, and that gives us the number of unsaturations. So palmitic acid has no unsaturations. So we call this 16,0 is the lipid number, and another thing we can call this is a saturated fatty acid. Okay, so again, no double bonds. This is a saturated fatty acid, and this is similar to what you see, for instance, on the side of nutrition labels, where we're talking about saturated fats or unsaturated fats. This is actually what we're referring to, and we'll discuss that more in a little bit. So we can also draw our fatty acids using line notation. COOH, that's our 1 carbon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Remember, every N and every bend is a carbon, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this is the line notation then for palmitic acid. So what